to go, updated, super clean, nice neighborhood, even at the lower price points. Those are going well. So it's been a good year, a good start of the year.
Good for you. I'm happy. And you've been hiding from us lately. I used to see you all the time. I hope that we actually get to see the Eddie Glance.
Yeah, I've just been doing too many things at once, and so I've had the camera off for lack of a distraction to others.
No, love having you, Eddie. You're a great guy, and that's good. Marlene, I'll pick on you. I think Jonathan was about to say something, but then he kind of went off. But Marlene, talk to us. How's business?
Thankfully, I'm very grateful. It's going well. It's doing good.
Okay. What do you
Busy,
attribute that
working
to?
a lot. What do I attribute it to? Hard work. I actually started farming an area about a year ago, in the neighborhood I live in. And that has brought me a bunch of listings and then selling those listings of previous homes and new buyers. So that's been good. I mean, I'm on the phone all day long.
Okay.
Hard work, really.
It's very hard work, but tell us what you're talking about.
Well, I'm in Orlando, the Orlando market, and I've been with Element for 10 years. So my business has always been pretty much the majority of referrals. So I'm in Orlando. I don't have an office here. I really didn't have a sphere here. I've been here for 4 years now. So a lot of my business comes from referrals from across the country from other agents. And not only from Douglas Elliman, but other organizations I'm involved in. So, I mean, I'm on the phone all day just connecting with other agents, past clients, my sphere, and then I incorporated this farm area a year ago, which has been going very well.
Okay. And which was great because it leads me into you just led me into the topic. Do you know that?
I did not.
You did because you just said that I get leads from other agents riding their coattails. Is this going to be a leap? Maybe? Kind of
Yep.
sorta? Okay, guys, we're gonna get your money's worth here today. That's what that's exactly the point that I want to make. The person that says to me, or coaching client that says to me, I don't want to make cold calls. I hate when I get cold calls. I hate when I interrupt somebody. I always say, call Victor or call Terry or call Andy or call anybody that's on this call because all of us are trying to do the exact same thing. And you're going to find out that there are very good people in the world and that you could actually learn from them and hopefully collaborate with them. But in your case, Marlene, you've done something very interesting. You've gone to, Element has what about 2,000 agents in the state of Florida, Marlene? You think somebody around there. And by the way, I want to make it very clear, especially to our newcomers, I am somewhat Elman centric, and I've got a bunch of Elman people here because I am with Douglas Elman. I don't care what agency you're with. We're always one bad management move away from leaving our companies. You work for yourself. So I want to be 100% clear about that. But you've now made yourself an unusual asset. Write that down if you can, except for Sherry, who's driving. And you could call me about it later, Sherry. You need to be somehow find a way to make yourself unusual. Now, what do I mean by that? Why, Victor, do they put your photograph on your business card? I want Victor to answer this one.
Well, it's funny because they just did new business cards because I switched over to the Beverly Hills office at Element, and they put my picture on it. And I never put pictures on business cards
Okay.
before because it to me it feels weird on the luxury market, uh, and that's a branding that you know me, I'm an old branding guy.
Hmm.
So it always felt strange to me that I'm like, hey, look at my picture. And I understand why it's always been the traditional thing because you want that recognition of who you are because you meet people on the street, you hand them a business card, but nobody uses them anymore anyway. And I've always just gone with super high end, very thick cards, and people would usually comment, and it's stuff that's well printed, and it felt more luxurious. And since you're marketing to a luxury market, it always felt strange to me. So I'm
Okay.
not necessarily have the answer you're looking for on that one because
So,
I,
so
I
let
always found it cheesy.
let me simplify it, okay? And I'm right there with all of you as I say this. We are forgettable. It's unfortunate, but as a category, Marlene's not forgettable. I'm never going to forget her. That's for life. That's my pledge. And the rest of you, I swear, but the bottom line is, as a category, as a business category, realtors are forgettable. There's just too many of us. And so somebody early on, and you're right, Victor, you don't need your photograph on your business card. In fact, maybe being contrarian in this instance would be the better move. But there's a reason that we actually have that. We have that out there because as a category, we are forgettable and we're trying very hard to be unforgettable. Isn't that true? Nod wildly if that's true. Okay. So when we say actually riding someone's coattails, Marlene actually had it right. It's too bad that Tinka's not here. Early on in Elliman, both of us counted it up and we found that a full 35% of our business came from agents, not only within the company, but in most cases from right within our office. Isn't that amazing?
Yep.
Right from within our office. There's somebody on this meeting right now who said to me, Ed, I'm going away for the summer. Who do you know that could show houses for me? Who do we know that could actually help me out? Now, it may or may not have been the best marriage of an introduction, but this is going on all the time. So as all of you struggle to find the business, it's almost like Dorothy with the slippers. You just had to click them and go back home. Um, Sorry, I totally messed up the Wizard of Oz there. But yes, click your heels together and say there's no place like home. There we go. That's a little bit better. Uh, just like that is something that you've had the power all along because there's a lot of people who are within an office that are not going to be able to service the business. And I just think that while it is obvious, it is not often thought of. So I want you to take a look at that. Marlene is a perfect example. She is with a company with 2,000 agents. Marlene, how many Element agents are in Orlando of the 2,000 agents?
Two.
Two. Great. And are you both on the same team?
No.
Okay. So I don't know if that other person is working the sphere the way you are, but she's going to have a much easier time than, say, Andy or me, who's in Boca Raton working, foreign agents, because somebody's going to say, who do you know in Orlando? And guess what? She happens to be an excellent agent, but even if she wasn't, she's who I've got. How do you make yourself unique? If you could take one thing away from this meeting, I really want you to stop and think that through. Where is it rare? Let me give you some other business categories that you might want to think about. I once spoke with a man in a previous consultancy that I owned. He sold life insurance. And when I met with him privately, he said his biggest problem is getting some type of distinction in the marketplace. And as we spoke, he told me that he has one son. He's got a couple sons, but his one son was autistic and really likely reliant for his lifetime on support and help. And of course, I would never say this in an open meeting, but in a private meeting, I said to the guy, if you're willing to talk about your life experience, I think that there's business categories that could be a great lead source for you. Now I said, now if it's offensive, then shut me up and don't. He goes, no, talk to me a little bit. And I did. And I started telling him that, in this world of high-powered people, teachers are forgotten about, doormen are forgotten about, certain business categories are forgotten about. But from your standpoint, a teacher could be a great lead source for you. A psychologist could be a great lead source for you. Anybody working with kids can be a great resource for you. I then asked, does your company have any materials on working with a child, working with family members when they're disabled? And in fact, they did. They have reams and reams of paper that nobody ever did anything with. I said, great, we're going to focus in now and make you the financial advisor to families who have members that are disabled. And you're going to build a whole campaign around that. And guess what? He got a ton of business. It worked. And so as we go through all this, try and stop and think through. You might want to go to something like ChatGPT, use that as an example, and say, what can I really truly do to make myself unique in the marketplace? That's just something that I want to do. Did everyone get the whatchamacallit, the handout that was sent out before? No? I mean, Daniel's on vacation, which I'm very happy for him to be on vacation, but it also means that I got to figure out how to do this stuff on my own. So please do not adjust your television sets. This is just Ed screwing around here. Let's see if I'm able to figure this out. Okay, I'm going to put this into the chat. Okay, so somebody tell me if that actually works. I hope it does. That should be.
Yeah, it's there.
Is there?
It's also in the meeting invite, but yeah,
Okay,
it's
thank
there.
you, Greg. Greg's a great student. Greg just does what always does the right thing. That's it. Aside from when he puts scary pictures behind him, that scares the shit out of me. But we'll forgive him for that. So there, let's talk about this. What are you going to do to ride someone's coattails? When that comes to mind, I really want to have a conversation here. So Andy, Hedeka, Kenny, Laura, Levette, who's been quiet the last couple meetings, Sherry, if you could safely unmute. And if you can't, please, I'm very happy to have you safe. What are you doing right now? What do you think? If you're not doing it now, let's talk about this. What can you do to ride someone's coattails? Okay, Levette, thank goodness. Levette, tell everyone who you are and where you are, please.
Hi, I'm Lavette Bell, and I'm in the Southampton Roads area in Virginia Beach.
Great.
That's like Norfolk, Virginia Beach area. So what I do, and it kind of pisses agents off in my office, but they don't do it. So I don't understand why they don't get upset. I mean, why they get upset about it. So when they get a listing, I will circle prospect around that listing.
Okay.
And I've gotten a lot of business by doing that.
Great. You know, that's, and I say that all the time, that if you've got this, what about this, Levette? You ever really want a listing, or I could say this to anyone in the meeting. If you work for a company like Sotheby's, like Douglas Elliman, like Compass, when you go to the company, you're giving up a percentage of your salary, right? I mean, the commission is going to support the beast. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think it's a great thing that we're actually paying them. But I think we could all agree that we need to get something for that money. A lot of times you do not. I hear this from you privately all the time. So what can you do? Well, one thing that I always say is if you go on to the MLS, at least in our area, it will say whether you can or cannot advertise that property. As soon as you find something that says you can't, you move on. If something says that you can market that property, you could begin to market someone else's property, very similar to whether it's yours. Now, speak to legal. Call the legal hotline, confirm what I'm saying. I'm not in a position to give anyone legal advice here, but it's something that's oftentimes overlooked, and I don't think that you should. I think that you should really stop and think through, how can you do this? Here's another thing. There's people right within your office that may have a multi-million-dollar listing that they are willing to let you market. I say this to my team all the time. We had an open house yesterday. Andy came. It was very nice seeing you, Andy. But we had, and they said to me, one of the team members, again, her name will go, she'll go nameless here, but she said, "Can I make a video and talk about the listing?" I said, "I want you to say my listing. I want you to get on social media and get out there. The whole purpose, if you're going to give up some of your money, you need to get something for that money. It is not a symptom of a disease, guys. Okay? So that's, if you could take another thing from this meeting, identify what you're able to leverage within your companies. Write that down, except for Sherry, as I meant it, that she is driving. We also have some sample, scripts here that I think you could just dig into to be able to do this. Here's another thing to help you along. Identifying the top producers within your luxury space. If you are very satisfied doing 50 to 100 deals a year, $300,000-$400,000, that is great. And I don't want to change your mindset. However, if you want to get into the luxury space, do this. Identify who the top producers are and what exactly are they doing to get to that level. By the way, somebody with a $20, $30 million listing, they might not give a shit about a $500,000 listing. Guess what? I do. I might have multi-million-dollar listings, but if I could get a good $500,000 listing, man, that's bread and butter. Isn't that the truth? Nod wildly if you agree, or care to disagree, knock yourself out. But so there are people that are working within the company that might look at that as an inconvenience. How do you identify those people? We're talking about riding coattails here. That's what we're really trying to do. What can you do right now to identify those top producers and get in with them? Okay, it's the summertime. People vacation right now. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I'm going away for a couple weeks in June. I'm going to have to shovel this meeting around a little bit. We'll talk about that at another point. But I need people to be in my stead. And that's money. That's money for you guys. And it's being forgotten about. And instead you're chasing after certain things like Zillow, which I won't knock Zillow. Some people have done very, very well with Zillow, and I think that's great. But I'm saying it doesn't always have to be that way. You could find people who are actively trying to grow their business. So we've got other examples here, and we're giving examples of different uh, people here. Definitely the team. How many people are on teams? Could I see some team people? Okay, Victor, let's get you unmuted again if you don't mind. Tell us about your team and tell me why you're on the team.
Well, I'm kind of, I feel like I'm almost partially independent, but I'm on a team because our team is out of Newport Beach, where I was, and now I'm up in LA. So I'm the LA person.
Okay.
But from a marketing standpoint, it's always been advantageous because we're a top 20 team, and there's only three of us in California. And so I'm able to market not just my stuff, but also Tom Unvert's, and Tom is a much more successful agent than I am. So when anybody Googles, because if anybody ever says, why should I work with you? I'm like, Google me, because you can't. I mean, I'm optimized enough that people can look me up. But a lot of the stuff, when you pull it up, it looks like I've sold 400 houses instead of however many dozen. And because it's a mix of both. So there's a definite advantage from a marketing standpoint about that. I don't get the advantage that some people get of teams of having, that support staff that's around me because we're in two different places. But we're also synergistic. I've got the team, I can still market to Newport, and Tom and Bill down there can market up to LA, and we'll cover we can cross and work with each other. But I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does. I mean,
that's how we kind of work it.
It's just, all of us really want so badly to build the business. I mean, and we all get jealous. I'm not. I was walking my dog this morning, and I spoke to a neighbor of mine who's a great real estate attorney. And I said, "So how's biz?" And he said, "Oh, pretty good. Actually, I've got a closing." And he gave to the neighborhood here in my farm, the street on my farm. And I'm like, "That wasn't on the MLS." He goes, "Well, there's agents involved." I'm like, "Yeah, but it wasn't on the MLS." He goes, "Well," I'm like, "Okay, I don't know why I'm telling him that." But it was a $4 million lot brought to them by Sanada Adzam, wonderful lady. She's in my office. She had the buyer, and my local arch nemesis, who will go nameless. Um, but they had their ear to the ground. And by the way, I know exactly what happened without even knowing what happened. He went to her. It's a smart move. It wasn't me. It wasn't a competitor right within the farm. And he said to her, "I've got this off-market property. Do you have a buyer for it?" She has a reputation for having the buyers. And guess what? It's closing today. And nobody was the wiser. And commissions are being paid, and everything was above board, and everything was legal. And it was because of reputation. Another thing for all of you to write down, reputation is that actually got done. What are you going to do to leverage your reputation? It is so important. Guard it with your life. Guard it with your life. As soon as they think you're a scumbag, you are. It doesn't matter whether you are or you're not. And if somebody goes after you, I mean, that's why I honestly believe if somebody came after me wrongfully, I would sue them. There would be no doubt in my mind. It is absolutely the opposite of what I'm doing. I'm working so hard to protect my brand. And I've once had somebody who was toying with that. And man, we had some legal expenses. We had some legal expenses, and it wound up shutting everything down. I didn't have to go any farther than that. But man, I'm going to come out with a bare knuckle fight if somebody goes after me for the wrong reasons. If they try to defame, you have to defend your reputation. So the specialized knowledge, we talked about the man with the disabled son. We talked about the proximity with Marlene, where she's made herself a rare commodity. Imagine a realtor being rare. It's rare because of where she is. Now, a lot of you also seem to think, unfortunately, it was easier a few years ago when I was speaking to Element agents in New York or any agent outside of state. "Hey, I'm here in Florida." "Oh, wow, you're in Boca Raton. I need a Boca Raton agent." Doesn't happen that much anymore. Everyone, and Marlene, man, I hope you ride that for years. I hope you're able to be the rare one there. But what other ways? Come on, as a group, let's figure this out. How can we make Marlene or Lavette or me or Victor or any of us a little bit more rare? Does anyone have some thoughts on that? Marlene jumped that right up. This is exciting. This is going to be a good one, guys. Here's Marlene. Come on.
I can tell you that for me, even being in Florida, when we have like, I don't know how many offices, 28 offices, and I thought I was doing a great job making sure everybody knows, all managers know that I'm in Orlando. And still,
Okay.
I see emails come across saying, does anyone know an Orlando agent? So I truly believe like out of sight, out of mind. And I actually do like Marlene, Florida road tours. And I go visit as many offices if they're having meetings, if they're having events. I make the time, and it's kind of a pain because you miss, you have to miss out on daily work locally, but it makes a difference. I always leave with at least one piece of business or referral, connecting with new people, something.
Sure. And
Yeah.
and you know what's great, Marlene, as well with the road tour. I mean, I do a lot of speaking as well, but let's say you're super shy. Let's say I'm not your psychologist or your priest, so I'm not going to help you get over shyness, but I can help you have a technical hack, especially since Aton is here now. He has a friend. We used our technology to help out a friend, the bar mitzvah boy. Couldn't give a speech. The kid would rather die. Okay, he would rather not give a speech. So Aton created an AI version of the kid. Wasn't the same thing, but it worked. It got out there, and he did it in French and Hebrew and English, and he could have done it in Japanese. It didn't even matter because the technology was there. But he was able to actually get over that hump. So I'm hearing a lot. I'm saying this because a lot of you don't want to. I hear from so many of you, I hate myself on video. Guys, I hate myself on video. I hate my voice. I hate the way I look. I've got this here. I'm about to turn 57 and this thing gets bigger and bigger. I hate it. I can't stand that look. I can't stand the whole thing. I sound like a schmuck and nobody's going to like me. But you got to push past that because the fact that I've got 20 of you here right now says something is a little bit opposite that. That somehow maybe it's good enough for some people to actually show up. You think I don't have insecurities? Every damn day. I wake up in the morning in a cold sweat thinking about this thing. And even afterward, I think about not what went well and how everybody liked it or may have liked some of it, but all the stuff that actually went wrong or the couple people that left after 15 minutes. We all go through that. I hope that helps. So I think it's really important. Specializing on the property websites as well. That's riding on somebody's coattails. If you're able to actually create websites specific to the property itself and be able to get endorsements from people. For example, there's a great video that I could put out there that I could put to you if I could find it while I'm doing this. Again, Daniel's on vacation. Where I made a professional video of a home. I took the first part of that professional video and then I got the customers. I spoke to them for about 20 minutes. I got them on camera talking about how this guy built 2,000 homes and he uses the Edmund Bogen team. Well, he built the homes in Canada. That's true. Didn't build it in a place that I'm licensed, but it adds a level of credibility riding someone's coattails. If it's good for them, it's good for me. Unfortunately, you ever hear the adage, no one ever got fired by hiring IBM? Maybe I know Greg's heard that. Probably Kenny's heard that. Aton maybe not. Victor definitely. No one ever got fired by hiring IBM. Now, why was that? Because you know what? IBM may have screwed the whole thing up, but it was IBM. It was IBM. It was a household name. Why would it screw anything up? And you're going to find that happens in real estate. That one of the biggest deals, the biggest deal in Boca West history, I did that. Why? Not because I'm so good looking and fabulous, and I am, but because the person had another broker. The broker dropped the ball, didn't get the deal done. He called up Douglas Elliman. Douglas Elliman knows me as a gated community and country club specialist, and they called me. And ultimately a month later, probably 8 weeks later, closed at the time the largest resale in the history of Boca West. To put that in perspective, there's 3,400 units there, and it was open for 40 years. Now, somebody recently beat that. That's what happens in real estate. They beat your little history. But It was a successful leveraging of the brands. People say, what do you get out of Douglas Elliman? In that instance, I got a lot. That was a $6 million deal. That's a pretty good thing, right? I thought so. So that's what you got to constantly ask yourself. If you would just wake up in the morning and ask yourself the very simple question, what happens next? What happens next? What am I going to actually do now that's going to have a meaningful difference? So many of you sit and click send and receive on your email server thinking that that's work, justifying it. Yes, it's work, but it is not productive. So finding out the people out there who could actually make you more productive and who are actually doing it right now is great, great stuff. LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the bastard stepchild that nobody ever really loved. I don't know why, because there's just so much insights that you could get into LinkedIn. Now, here's a strategy to help you along. When you get to your office, Sherry, and you could keep your hands on the wheel and looking straight ahead. I really am nervous, by the way.
That's okay. I'm on a very straight road that I
Okay,
know
good.
well,
Good. I don't know you, but I
going
care
into
for
the race.
I care for you, Sherry. So let's just
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you.
So when you get to the office, I want you to take a look at what's expired in your immediate neighborhood. Guys, anybody who's on this can do this right now. Find out what listings have expired recently, hopefully in the last 24 hours in your immediate farm area. Then go to the tax record and get this person's name. Eitan and I are working on a hack to be able to automate this. Then take that person's name and scrub it against LinkedIn. Does anyone have a good LinkedIn profile? Couple names on LinkedIn? Great. Scrub it against LinkedIn. And guess what? You might find out that Joe Schmidlap is a first-degree connection with Marlene or Jonathan or Greg, and I could call up Marlene or Jonathan or Greg and say, how well do you know Joe Schmidlap? Oh, he's my ex-brother-in-law, but we're still friends. I mean, I literally had something like this happen. And guess what? You got an opportunity there because you're riding the coattails. You're leveraging someone else. You don't have to stop. You don't have to stop with just LinkedIn. But I think LinkedIn really is a great social media tool because it's so professional. The ones that use it really use it religiously, and they put a lot of data on there. So if you're trying, I want you to go from being just somebody who's searching and selling to deal making. I want you to think of yourself as a deal maker. I don't want you to think of yourself as a salesperson anymore. There's an opportunity absolutely everywhere. So if you find that something's expired and you look onto LinkedIn, I could tell Terry's on LinkedIn right now. He's looking it right up. You see that? I can see that in his face. So you could go right on there and then take a look and see how do you make the news the most transparent? How do you get that information? All of us would do very well if we started playing more chess and if we started doing things to actually think strategically. It's a great, great thing. Okay, at 9:30, do I still have everyone or am I losing you yet? No? Maybe? Victor's sort of sideways thumb?
You have one more, then you stop. They're gone.
Oh, that's it. They hate me. Oh no. Anyway, the brokerage reputation, that's the whole thing, guys. If you're going to collect 80 cents on the dollar, 70 cents on the dollar, 60 cents on the dollar. I don't know what your split is with your agency, but if you're going to be with an agency, think about why you're there. If you're there just because you have a few friends and you like the neighborhood, then I would strongly consider moving on. But if you think that you could leverage their name, leverage what they've done, let me give you an example. When I wasn't a top producer within this community, there were element agents in my zip code that captivated the majority of the market. So I was able to say to people, Douglas Elliman captivates most of the market, and I'm an element agent. Didn't lie. I didn't. Check it with legal. You need to leverage that credibility. Otherwise, why the hell are you with the company? You got to stop and think that through. What are they going to do for me now? What's really truly happening? People spend a lot of time promoting these brands, and I don't always understand why. If they're not really truly getting what they need to get from it. Now, in my case, I've got a great broker, and she gives a lot of help. And I already told you about my $6 million deal, what they actually gave that. And there's been other people it's been a true partnership with this. However, if you don't think that you have that true partnership, strongly consider moving on because you've got to be able to leverage the brokerage itself. You've got to be able to go to your broker today and say to them, who has stuff that's come on the market that I can promote now? If you're really jonesing for a deal, if you don't have a listing, who has something right now that I could leverage? Now, some agents may say, no, fuck you, go away. I don't want you. You know, you could definitely have that. But on the other hand, you may get a load of people that would say, yeah, I want to sell this listing. I want to be able to make some money here. I want to be able to get this. And I don't really give a damn if you're able to get a future lead off of this. I want to be able to do business. That's the more mature way to do it. So, you know, and I understand if it's somebody from Sotheby's and you're with Compass, or someone from Element and you're with Sotheby's, I get all that. But within your own office, stop and think that through. How do you leverage those people? Really, really important. Okay, who else has anything to say on this very important topic? Anyone? Anyone? Ferris Bueller? Ferris Bueller?
Well, real quickly,
Okay, Kenny, tell everyone who you are again.
Kenny Bellini in beautiful California. I've been up for 2 hours already. I'm up at 4 o'clock sometimes. It's cold out today. I'm in the mountains. But, you know, actually, what you're talking about using other agents' listings in the office was called cross marketing. And it first got started by TELUS, which was sold to Element. So Element was the first one really to allow agents to use those other listings. And we used to just every week take another listing and just approach those agents. And they're really easy about it because you just tell them, hey, I'm going to, you know, if you let me market your listing, I'm going to put it to my database and you're going to just multiply the visibility. So they're really open to it. Another thing, I attend some of these meetups, you know, these real estate meetups, because these real estate meetups, there's all these ones about investing and all kinds of other stuff, but you're going to find people there, either with properties or with opportunities that they're investing, but also people who just want to sell stuff. My wife right now has a listing she hasn't put on. She's keeping it quiet yet because it was an Airbnb and the owner's given her all the addresses of everybody who's ever stayed there.
Okay.
So she's approaching all those people first. My wife's also a green agent. She's got green certifications. I've got one, which is a whole nother niche to talk to people about how to save energy right now. The cost of energy is going up and everything else. And, you know, everything is about sustainable houses.
So Kenny, did you start a Facebook group called Green Real Estate Investment?
Izumi's got a thing called Home Green Homes with almost 100 podcasts.
But hold on, do you have a Facebook group specific to it?
My wife handles all that stuff, so I don't.
Talk to your wife.
Yeah.
You'll populate it. You'll get a shit ton of people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then as they sign up, and guys, you could make note of this as well. As they sign up, you could say, okay, promise that you're not going to spam everyone. Please, can we add you to our email newsletter? About 15% will say yes, and they'll put their email address in there. And now you've got a database that's growing. And if you play your cards right, Kenny, you don't understand. You could grow these groups by 100 people a day. Free.
Yeah.
Okay. So talking like 15 to 20 leads that come in that you could then take and put into a CRM, customer relation management tool, and have an automated email go out to these folks to be able to get the Bellini method or whatever we call it there. I like the Bellini method. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Also, I have a database of about 12,000 real estate agents.
So even better.
Marketing too.
Which brings me to two other points. One, next Wednesday morning, write this down.
Can I buy that from you?
What did you say?
It wants to buy that database of agents.
So we've got next Wednesday. Hold on. We got next Wednesday morning. Write this down. Hyperlocal market domination, zero cost strategies that actually work. We're going to be going into that. Then on that Friday, we've got email newsletter renaissance, cost-effective marketing in a hyper-competitive world. We're going to be talking about the tools that we use. We're going to be talking about how to legally source names and build lists. And this is such an important topic because it's going to be on that Friday at 12 o'clock. We're going to do it the following Wednesday at 9 o'clock as well. Again, I told everyone this month, we're trying the Friday things twice. It is so important that you come to one of those because the number one, if we could even call it social media perhaps, is email. It still is. The more people, you know, if you really think about it, when I put this email out about my open house yesterday, I got 30 people that came to it. I got 30 people that came as a direct result of a mailer, as a direct result of that. Now, the success of it, that takes sales technique. That's going to take more. But I win on multiple levels. Let's talk about that for a second. I'm able to get people to know the brands, and those people are in my immediate farm. They may want to buy, they may want to sell. That's great. Fabulous. We'll put that as a steak in the freezer. Two, it was a broker's open, so I had a lot of brokers come in here. Guess what? You guys are paying me. I love to get paid. It's one of my 3 favorite things. Okay? I'm able to get those folks in there and able to grow my group as a direct result of that. We're able to also find other resources, other mortgage brokers or other title people, different folks that come in who can be, once again, a lead source or perhaps co-market with you in your advertising. So there's just one thing that actually went out, and there's multiple streams of potential revenue that comes from this. Are you going to see success immediately from any of this? Probably not, but that's why you have to keep the train rolling. You have to keep it rolling. If you don't, you're going to fail. You grow or die. That's what's going on here, guys. So you got to keep that energy up, and that's really the important part of all this. Okay, we're going to get to wants, needs, and brags in a second, but does anyone else want to contribute to riding someone's coattails? It's chock full in this in the workbook. I highly suggest you download it. We did put some time into it. I think there were a couple of actually, I looked at it. There was a couple misquotes in there of agents. They said Terry when they meant Victor or something like that. You know, there was a couple things like that. But that said, I stand by the content. It's good stuff. So if you want that, definitely download it. Who's got some other things to say about the topic before we get on to wants, needs, and brags?
Hey, Edmund, I'd love to know what Lavette is being successful with, kind of the script or talk track that she's using on her circle prospecting.
Okay, Lavette?
I really don't have a script. I just call and I introduce myself and let them know I just listed their neighbor's home. And I start off by asking them if they know anyone who's looking to move into the neighborhood, friend, family member, church member, whatever. And then I ask them if they have any interest in selling a property. So it's really that simple.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be a magic pill there, but the biggest thing is you're doing it.
Yes.
I think that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie, try this as well. I just listed 1234 Main Street or whatever your address is. And I just wanted to let you know we're having a couple of events there. In case you see a lot of activity outside, I didn't want to startle you. Now you're just a concerned guy. Somebody did this. I thought that was actually kind of clever.
Yeah.
You know, oh, thank you. And then usually people say, oh, the Joneses are listing their home. What's the next question that comes? Somebody help me out real quick.
How much is it?
How much is it? Mazel tov. That's what they say. How much is it? What's it going to sell for? And so great. They ask that. And now guess what? You're engaged in a conversation. Brick by brick by brick by brick by brick. That's what we're doing, guys. So thank you for the question, Eddie. Who else? Okay, wants, needs, and brags. Now's the time in the meeting to talk about what you want, what you need, and what you'd like to brag about. I had a great open house yesterday.
I have a little bit of a brag.
Okay, go ahead, Lavette.
So I told you all that I do circle prospects, and I do a lot of cold calling as well. Mm-hmm. So and when I cold call, I don't look at the last agent. I don't even care about that. I just call. I happened to call an expired listing, and it was an agent in my office. And I met the guy the same day. He signed the listing agreement. I actually had the property sold just a couple hours later because I tapped into my database of investors. And the joke, I found out later, the joke was around the office was, oh, she's not going to get it sold. If I couldn't do it, she couldn't do it. So not only did I do it, I did it within a couple of hours of getting it signed.
We could all be cordial. We could all be nice.
Yeah.
People get jealous. I'm not immune to it. Neither are you. Be
honest
with yourself. And I'm sure that got her. But you got a bunch of thumbs up by Kenny. That's exciting.
Thank you.
So no, good for you. I'm very happy. That's a great brag, and I love to hear when you make.
And it was a duel. I handled both sides.
And she got both sides, so that's good. Again, making money is one of my 3 favorite things. I love that. Who else wants, need, or brag?
Edmund, I can't let this meeting go without bragging about my breakfast date last weekend or over the weekend. Tinka Ellington was up in the area.
Oh,
She and I and some of her team members met for breakfast, and I was able to meet all them in person. So it was a really good chance to meet her in person and get to know them a little bit better.
and Tinka is a dear friend of mine who started probably the same month as I did with Douglas Elliman. She recently left and moved on to Compass, and I wish her well. I think that's great for her and her team. Actually, it reminds me, I got to give her a call and get lunch as well. Fabulous, fabulous agent, fabulous lady. So,
Can we actually talk about the fact that a lot of Elements agents are going to Compass? What's that about?
no, we can't talk about that. Thanks, Eitan.
They move around. You don't want to go to
I don't know.
Compass
I mean,
because
it's none of my business. I don't know why some go, some don't. I don't know.
There seems to be a real wave of
They-
migration.
there's a lot of people that have actually gone over to them, and I'm very happy for them. Again, this
They're
is
also
not,
happy when it happens, so they send out press releases a lot whenever they poach somebody.
thi-
So that
thi-
that
this is not an agency centric forum. This is the Rain Nation, which we're going to have a name change at some point. We'll let that out. Is a wholly owned company
So
called.
can we ask our audience about the name change?
No, we can't, Eitan. What are you doing? Because that's tantamount to like playing favorites, and I don't want to do that certainly with Elliman or any other company. I'm
Hey,
very
to be fair, you brought it up.
what?
To be fair, you brought it up.
I brought what up?
The
the
name
name
change.
change.
I'll take a leaving. I brought that up, but I don't
No,
want to
the
talk about
name
why
change.
one agency is better than another. That's not
No. I meant about the name change. I'm just giving you a hard time.
okay. All of you give me a hard time. But I've come to expect that. I've come to
And it's not the first time you brought it up.
Oh, what is this Bash Ed Day? Jeez, come
No,
on,
that
guys.
wasn't a bash. That wasn't a bash. That was a hey, he's brought it up before. So what?
is it just because people can't spell rain in modern terms?
Yeah, you
It's
know
So
what?
exactly
It
why.
does not come up in any search engine. It's basically it corrects to resignation, which is
Yeah,
completely not what we want.
it doesn't help us whatsoever. It does
But
not
you need
help
to
us
do it
whatsoever.
sooner than later before the brand becomes much more established than it already is.
It's been 11 years. It's already established.
Hallelujah. No, hallelujah. Yes, he's right.
Okay. No, it's definitely something that we're addressing and we're getting out there. Marlene is so good. She knows how to raise her hand, everyone. Look at that. Marlene, go ahead.
Hi, well, I just want to mention, if you all are looking or have been involved in some type of philanthropy, I've been involved with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital it's going to be 9 years now. And September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and there are walks across the country. And, it's not only good for your soul and to give back. I'm a big believer in giving back. But that also did lead to the largest sale of my career. That came from a connection I made through St. Jude. So if anybody needs information about becoming involved, please reach out to me.
Fantastic. And it's a great organization. And I think I told you I volunteered for several years until I had children with Sloan Kettering in New York. I played blackjack and Monopoly every Thursday night when Seinfeld was on with these terminally ill kids because nobody else, they had a shortage of volunteers because of Seinfeld at the time. So it is good for the soul. And I think that's great stuff. And Marlene, let me know when your next fundraiser is. I'll gladly contribute to it as I do. Who else?
I was at an incredible event the other night. One of my clients created something called the Miracle Project. She had an autistic son over 20 some years ago when I first sold her home, and she taught acting. And so she decided to teach autistic kids acting, and they thought it was impossible. She couldn't get grants. She did it herself. 20 years later now, it's off the hook. There's a movie called Autism the Musical that HBO produced.
Okay.
And I was at an event the other night that it was like watching SNL with all these kids. It was unbelievable. And I helped raise money for the thing. It's called the Miracle Project. And it's just amazing what she's doing with these kids. And they're just adult-sized kids too. They're all over the place, but amazing. Bumped into some people I knew, met people there, other contributors that were getting together. So it's a great opportunity to meet people.
Great stuff. And I want to just let everyone know, and Marlene, I think you'll find this particularly interesting, and I think you demonstrate it. There's a well-known Harvard study, I just looked this up. Again, a well-known Harvard study that supports the idea that giving to others can enhance personal happiness. In 2008, a study conducted by Harvard Business School professor Michael Norton and colleagues found that spending money on others led to greater happiness than spending money on oneself. Participants who were instructed to use monetary windfall to benefit others reported higher levels. And further research has shown that the act of giving activates areas of the brain associated with pleasure, social connection, and trust, creating a warm glow. Additionally, I'm trying to find where it is because it goes on for a long time here. But somewhere in that report, it says 80, for every dollar that a generous person gives to a particular charity, they found that they got back $1.60. And I think Marlene's a very good example of that for the dollar that they actually put in, they actually get money back. I always try and give something to charities, tithing, they call it. But to be able to be a generous person, there's something that gets activated in several ways. A, you're living for beyond just yourself, which is great. B, you're taking on the thought of abundance. Most of you look at stuff as so scarce. And indeed, we've all had times in life where it has been, myself included. There's been stuff that's been actually very scarce, and you've been scared and you've been worried at whatever level you might be on. But beyond that, it kind of also opens up a wealth of opportunities, not the least of which is what I've discovered here. I give to every single charity, provided it's not like Saddam Hussein for a Jew-free world. I'm going to give to that charity, provided that it's going to be something that is a worthy charity. I will give to it, and I will be a part of it, particularly in my farm area, and it's all come back. So I do want to encourage that kind of behavior within all of you. Eddie's been an incredibly generous guy. Whenever I've actually made the call for, I remember when Tinka's daughter had heart surgery, Eddie was the first person to give for that. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I think he's another living proof of that. So something to think about. Okay, last couple minutes here. Anybody else have anything to contribute to the meeting? No? Okay. As I said, we've got next Wednesday, and then we got that Friday, and then the following Wednesday. You're going to look and see all of these invites that come through. If you haven't gotten together with me, please, please, please do drop me an email. I would love to chat with you. If you want to inquire about the one-on-one coaching, we could do this, as well as group coaching for your team. And Livette, very quickly, because we're about to end.
So the Friday meetings, are they just always a repeat of what we did today?
No, in this, not today. It's going to be a repeat of, it's going to be, we're going to have, next week is hyper-local marketing domination. That's next Wednesday. Then on Friday at 12, it's going to be email newsletter renaissance. And then the following Wednesday, it's also email newsletter renaissance. It's not necessarily going to be that way every month, but Eitan and I decided to do a little experiment. And it's had mixed reviews. Some of you have really liked it, and some of you have said you want more content. So we will continue to experiment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, guys, great to see everybody. Again, let's try and get together real soon. Is Terry here? Where's Terry?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Okay, there you are. Okay, you're hiding on the bottom there. When I see Terry and I see all of you, it makes me say it really was great seeing all of you today. I'm really grateful that you were able to come, and I look forward to seeing all of you next week for another exciting episode of
Rain Nation.
Fantastic. Love you, Terry. Thank you very much. Jonathan, good to see you. Everybody else, really great to see everyone. Eitan, I'll give you a buzz in a minute. Sherry, good to see you. Renat, it was great to, you were kind of in the background there, but good to have you. Vicky, good to have you. Lisa Scotch, good to have you. Waving right there. And Victor, as always, I'll let you know my next trip to California. Both Victor and Kenny, love to get lunch with you guys again. And Jonathan, maybe Boston. If I wind up in Boston, I'd love to see you too. So basically, I'll take all of you to lunch or dinner or drinks or something at some point. You just need to know me long enough, Okay, take care, everybody.
All right.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
All
Bye-bye.
right.